You know the White Lady story, right? The castle, the lake, the woman in white. Yeah. Forget all of it. Every single version you've heard. The mother drowning with her kid. The bride who got left at the altar. None of it is true. Not really. The real story, it's so much bigger and so much weirder. And honestly, it's kind of heartbreaking. Look, I'm just going to tell you what actually happened. It started with this weird detail nobody ever noticed. See, there's this seismic data, right? Government records and boring stuff, except someone found a pattern. Every 11 years, like clockwork, these tiny earthquakes pulse right under Durand Eastman Park, and they run in a perfectly straight line from the bottom of Durand Lake directly to the castle. That's not normal. That's not geology. That's something breathing. So one night someone decided to go find out what. They parked at the castle, but not to flash headlights and scream like teenagers do. They brought actual equipment, EMF readers, a laser microphone, and this thing they built themselves, a high-frequency sound emitter designed to disrupt energy patterns. They had this crazy theory that the White Lady wasn't a ghost at all. She was like a signal, a broadcast on a loop, something trying to communicate. The moment they turned the emitter on, silence. Complete silence. Even the crickets stopped. Then she appeared. Not floating mist. Not some pale, sad woman in a wedding dress. She was fire. Cold blue plasma. A figure carved out of lightning and agony. Her face was beautiful, but it hurt to look at. And her eyes, God, her eyes, they weren't empty. They were like stars dying, ancient, aware, absolutely furious. She opened her mouth and screamed, but the sound didn't come through the air. It just appeared inside their head. This scream made of pure terror, like every bad dream you've ever had compressed into 1 second and injected straight into your nerves. The equipment exploded, sparks everywhere. The laser microphone literally melted, and then the air behind her split open, like a wound, a seam of absolute nothing. And through it, God. You couldn't even look at it directly. Shapes that folded wrong, shadows that moved against the light, a whole dimension of living darkness, screaming silently. And she, the White Lady, she was standing in front of it, holding it closed. She wasn't a ghost. She was a prison guard, a sentinel from some civilization so old our whole universe was just starting when theirs ended. She'd been standing there for eons, alone, guarding this seam, keeping whatever was inside from getting out. The whole legend, the drowning mother, the abandoned bride, that was never her story. That was just leakage. Her grief bleeding through the seal and getting tangled up in our local tragedies. She wasn't human. She never was. She just absorbed our sorrow because hers was too enormous to carry by herself. And the sound emitter? It just cracked her seal wide open. The thing inside poured out. But here's the part that still gives me chills. It didn't just attack, it paused. It looked around, it learned, it reached into the whole city's mind. Every campfire story, every whispered legend, every nightmare anyone ever had about the White Lady, and it downloaded all of it. And then it chose. It rose up out of the darkness as her, a White Lady, but wrong. A twisted fusion of every version of the story. Mother and bride melted together into something monstrous, her dress dripping black water, her veil made of shadows. When she smiled, her mouth was full of nothing, and when she spoke, she used every voice that ever told the legend. Finally, a story to wear. The real White Lady, the sentinel, she looked at the crack she couldn't close. She looked at the thing wearing our stories like a costume, and then she looked at the person standing there, the one who woke her, and she made a choice. She collapsed. Her whole form, all that screaming plasma, pulled inward into a single point of light, and then she shot forward, not attacking, merging, pouring herself into a human body. Eons of memory, cosmic grief, the power to literally rewrite reality, all of it anchored into one person. She spoke inside their skull, one word in a language that tasted like metal and lightning. anchor. After that, it was a war of stories. The shadow thing weaponized the legend. It filled the forest with a drowning child crying. It turned the whole castle grounds into this nightmare loop of wedding vows shattering into screams. Every version of the White Lady anyone ever told, it made them real, one after another, trying to break the anchor's mind. The Sentinel fought back by editing reality, straight up deleting things from existence, rewriting the universe at a quantum level, erasing shadow tendrils by convincing reality they'd never been written in the first place. But it wasn't enough. She was too slow, and the anchor was burning out. Then came the moment, the realization the Sentinel, for all her cosmic power, could never have reached on her own. You don't beat a story by erasing it, you beat it by telling a better one. So the anchor stopped fighting, walked straight toward the monster wearing the White Lady's face. No weapon, no plan, just truth. They spoke out loud, told the Sentinel's real story, right there in the dark. You were never a mother who failed, never a bride abandoned. You were a soldier, the last of your kind. You guarded this prison for longer than Earth has had oceans. You were forgotten, your memories corrupted. The only way you could express your grief was to borrow ours, and you got trapped inside it. But your name was never White Lady. Your name was Elindra of the Final Watch, and your vigil is over. You can rest now. And she wept. Not fire, not plasma, rain, gentle, healing rain. It fell on the shadow beast, and the thing didn't burn. It softened. The stolen legend started unraveling, not because it was defeated, because someone finally saw it for what it really was. Not evil, just lost. Something that had been trapped so long it forgot its own name. When its story was finally told, the horror just dissolved, the seam sealed, the prison closed. But it was empty now, nothing left to guard. Elindra let go, gentle, like a hand releasing after holding on for too long. Her final thought wasn't sad, it was grateful. She didn't say goodbye, she said thank you. And then she was gone. The air smelled like lilacs and ozone and peace. The castle was just a castle again. Quiet, harmless, beautiful even. The person who'd been possessed woke up by the lake. No memory of what happened. Completely unharmed. Except for one thing. One lock of their hair. Turned permanently, impossibly silver white. Some people say it was a scar, but I don't think so. I think it was a gift. A mark left behind by a guardian who was finally allowed to rest. So yeah. Next time you're at the castle, go ahead. Flash your headlights. Do the thing. Whisper the old story if you want. But if you actually see her, the woman in white, don't run. She's not looking for her child. She's not crying over some guy who left her. She's not a tragedy anymore. She's a hero, the last of her kind. And if you're really quiet, if you really listen, you might just hear the universe itself whispering thank you through the pine trees. You might even see someone standing by the water, a streak of silver in their hair, watching, remembering, making sure the true story never gets forgotten again. That's it. That's the real story. Go tell someone.